Bonsoir, fellow mini enthusiasts. This video is a bit different than usual. This is a clumsy attempt to express my thanks and love for a monument of an artist we tragically lost, John Blanche. I shall do my best. So, art style. Finding one and then perfecting it is probably the most difficult thing an artist can achieve. It is such an accomplishment when everyone knows at first glance, oh, this was definitely made by so-and-so. And in Warhammer, nobody achieved that quite like John Blanche. His art style even has a name that is incredibly silly sounding when pronounced in French. If you know, you know. Blanchitsu. It is a surprise to absolutely nobody that some of these artworks have become the cement that define the entire Warhammer setting. One such example is, without a doubt, John Blanche's portrayal of the Emperor of Mankind, challenging our vision of what grandeur, or even alive, means. The shapes were deliberately left vague to let our minds fill the gap with the most horrible interpretation possible, or his depiction of a sister of battle, where beauty and grotesque mix in a unique macabre canvas enhanced by John Blanche's clever use of composition. Each of these masterfully created artworks hides so many details that I could ramble on for hours. But this is not a video essay on the art itself. It is a video about the legacy it brought with it. John Blanche was both an artist and a storyteller. His artworks brought life to the Warhammer franchise and will forever remain an artistic compass for grimdark artists. For many hobbyists, the very first glimpse into the Warhammer universe came through a John Blanche illustration. No one has any doubt contemplating said artworks that they depict worlds where terrible, unspeakable things happen constantly, where horror and suffering are an integral part of daily life, and where no one can escape it. A universe where safety, even fleeting, is but a myth. The famous Warhammer motto, "There is only war," is oozing out of his masterpieces as if war itself were a poison that had infected every centimeter of his canvas. A world that none of us would ever want to experience ourselves. And yet, despite all that horror, John Blanche's artwork spark an almost devouring curiosity. Because at a single glance we already know, this horrible, horrible world also has so many epic stories to tell, so many opportunities for nobility and yet tragedy in its already doomed characters. Without John Blanche illustration, I genuinely don't think I would have fallen in love with Warhammer the way I did. To me personally, his artworks have a very unique appeal that ignites a deep passion for these worlds and make me want to read an ungodly amount of lore, while constantly filling me with a deep discomfort akin to dread, though maybe something even more insidious. I believe art is meant to invoke feelings, and I defy anyone to not feel anything when they observe John Blanche's art. I still remember the first time I discovered his work in 2003, at the end of a miniature painting book, and John Blanche models looked quite different from the rest. I had never seen custom minis before. A quick search of his name, and I was hooked. This is when I thought, oh yeah, he is the artist, the one instilling his vision into this universe. And we have ample proof that his vision is highly relevant and well respected. The new Armageddon box is a direct homage to John Blanche's earlier artwork for the original box of the same name. For the old work, Games Workshop still produces miniatures inspired by some of John Blanche's best artwork and designs. Even in the absolutely epic trailer for the 11th edition, the grimdark aspect and, the elephant in the room, the Emperor himself, are very much inspired by John Blanche's artistic direction. Many people were very happy to see this very macabre and grimdark vision for this trailer, because the modern setting tends to be a little more sanitized, for both good and bad reasons. A lot of people still consider John Blanche's artistic direction the truest one when it comes to Warhammer. I am not a purist myself, but I do really like those Warhammer community articles where they use to kit bash miniature as close as possible to the Blanchitsu style, especially the ones showing body augmentation, because I think his depiction of body modification is incredibly unsettling and unclean compared to some sci-fi interpretations that are far more glamorous in nature. I find his illustration of machines so fascinating. Servo skulls freak me out, especially his depictions. Ooh, but in a good way. How cool is it that you can get a physical reaction from a piece of art? John Blanche didn't just illustrate Warhammer, he made people feel Warhammer. I guess what I mean to say before I fangirl for another couple of hours is thank you so much for everything you created, Sir John Blanche. It will always be an incredible source of inspiration to me. And I am so sad that I won't be able to lay my eyes on amazing new pieces from you. That's usually the moment when I do the funny outro, like, yeah, subscribe and stuff, but it just sounds so inappropriate here. Instead, let's leave ourselves on this Minotaur model that John Blanche painted. Because how much of a flex is this? John Blanche painted freaking Mona Lisa on a chaos banner for his army. If that isn't the spirit of the Warhammer hobby personified, then I don't know what is, Goblin Gang. Merci pour tout, Monsieur John Blanche. Reposez en paix.